Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally decoding the Carroll County housing market. We're going to hop into a time machine and do a direct then versus now comparison, strictly matching up single-family home data from April 2025 against April 2026. Because look, if you really want to know what's actually happening on the ground right now, you've got to strip away the noise. Looking at clear year-over-year monthly metrics is absolutely the best way to do it. So let's just jump right into the data. Okay, let's start with this massive number staring right at us, $530,000. That is the brand new median sales price for a single-family home in Carroll County as of April 2026. Wow. But, a number sitting all by itself doesn't really tell us the whole story, does it? To actually grasp what this means for buyers and sellers out there right now, we really need to see where we just came from. All right, let's get into Section 1, the rising price tag. Right off the bat, we're looking at a pretty wild 8.7% jump in literally just 1 year. Back in April 2025, the median was $487,500. Fast forward to April 2026, and boom, we're sitting at that $530,000 mark. That firmly anchors us to reality. Homes are just significantly more expensive today. I mean, think about it from a buyer's perspective. Your purchasing power has to stretch over $40,000 further than it did this exact same time last year just to buy the exact same median home. Crazy, right? But here's the thing. It's not just the final price tag that's shifting. It's the actual negotiation power at the table. Just look at this metric, the percent of the original list price received. Sellers are capturing a much bigger slice of their initial asking price, bumping up from 94% last year to 96.3% now. So that's a 2.4% increase year over year. The big takeaway for you here? Buyers have almost zero wiggle room. If a seller lists a home today, they are getting way closer to their absolute top-line number than they were just 12 months ago. Now, checking out this 12-month rolling graph totally proves this April price bump isn't just some random springtime fluke. If you trace these lines from left to right going all the way back to 2013, it shows this relentless, almost unstoppable historical upward trend for single-family homes, both for the state and specifically right here in Carroll County. Month-to-month data can get kind of noisy and jumpy, but this rolling calculation smooths all that out, and it shows us that the overarching momentum of real estate values, it's firmly marched upward for over a decade. Which brings us to Section 2, the speed of sales. Okay, so despite those higher price tags and way tighter negotiations we just talked about, homes are literally flying off the market. They're selling an astonishing 38.2% faster than last year. Just look at that drop. From 76 days on the market in April 2025, plummeted down to just 47 days in April 2026. That is practically a whole month shaved off the time it takes to get a property sold. If you're a buyer, this means you've got to make major, life-altering financial decisions nearly 40% faster than you did last year. The luxury of sleeping on it for a week? That's rapidly disappearing. Now, here is where things get really interesting. It's a seemingly contradictory reality. While homes are selling remarkably faster and for way more money, the actual total volume of closed sales for the month slightly dipped. Yep, we went from 48 closed sales in April 2025 down to 45 in April 2026. Just a 6.3% decrease. But still, it's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? How can a market be moving at lightning speed, with buyers throwing higher prices at sellers, yet yielding slightly fewer actual transactions at the closing table? Let's crack that puzzle in Section 3, Supply and Inventory. This chart right here gives us a huge piece of that puzzle. It shows a massive 31% jump in new listings entering the market this April compared to last year. So we had 126 new listings in April 2025 and a really robust 165 new listings in April 2026. Now, on the surface, if you're a buyer, you're probably looking at this and thinking, awesome, more choices. This is going to slow the market down and finally give me some leverage. But actually scratch that. That is definitely not how the math played out. Because check this out. Even with that huge influx of 165 new properties hitting the market, the month's supply of inventory stayed completely 100% flat at exactly 2.6 months. This right here is the absolute definition of a seller's market holding its ground. It basically proves that buyer demand in Carroll County is acting like a giant vacuum. It's instantly swallowing up that entire 31% surge in new supply. So the new homes are arriving, sure, but the pent-up demand is just so fierce that the overall buffer of available inventory isn't growing at all. So, what does this all mean? Let's look at Section 4, the big market takeaway. When we pull it all together, the data paints an incredibly clear picture of a highly accelerated market. Just to rapid-fire recap this, prices are up 8.7%, homes are selling an incredible 38% faster, and even though we got a 31% surge in new listings, it's just being immediately absorbed by this ravenous demand. So an increase in housing supply absolutely isn't dampening prices in Carroll County right now. Instead, it's just fueling faster transactions at higher values. The market is processing more new inventory, but it's doing it at top speed and for top dollar.
I want to leave you with this final thought to really ponder. We almost always assume that more listings equal more buyer power, right? But here, the data clearly shows us that incredible speed and unwavering demand are keeping sellers firmly in the driver's seat. They're still capturing over 96% of their asking prices. As we continue watching this totally fascinating market unfold, you really have to ask yourself, what happens to prices if that 31% surge in new listings suddenly starts to slow down? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, always keep your eyes on the data.